Hey, everybody, Rob Vino, Wager Talk TV, wagertalk.com here with your Tuesday. Almost these days run together right about now, but it's Tuesday. And we're going to look at the NBA. Short card tonight, but we got a pair of games we're going to go over. We're going to start here with Brooklyn at Cleveland. Game open, Cleveland 17 and a half, 223 and a half. Current number, Cleveland 18 and a half. 228 and a half. There's some 229s out there now, so the total's been bumped pretty good. It looks like Cam Thomas is probably going to go for the Nets. That could be part of it here. He did not play last night. Sort of an injury management type thing with his hamstring. He did play the 3 games before. Schedule looks like this. Brooklyn's on the second of back-to-backs. They did beat the Lakers last night in Brooklyn. Cleveland had yesterday off. This is a kind of a strange scheduling spot for Cleveland. It's just a 1-game homestand. They'll have the next 2 days off, and then they play in Memphis later this week on Friday. Matchup and situation here. I would say real quick here that the scheduling favors Cleveland in this spot. Brooklyn's offense is so much better with Cam Thomas, obviously. It doesn't help the defense, but he's a bucket waiting to happen. So he's played in 4 games since returning from his injury. He was up for quite a long time. The first one, he worked off the rust. Then he came back, played the next 3 straight, and in those games, he had 24, 23, and 16. The Nets scored 127, 117, and 105 against a very slow-footed Charlotte. But the 127 and 117 against Golden State and San Antonio show that Brooklyn can up their offensive game with Thomas in the lineup, tandem with D'Angelo Russell in that backcourt. Cleveland, however, as they do on most nights, huge interior edge here. They can absolutely dominate Brooklyn inside in this game. And their bench depth, I don't know if it's talked about enough at this point as we head into the playoffs. But since they added DeAndre Hunter and the way Ty Jerome has played off the bench, Cleveland's 6 through 10, very tough. Certainly, I would say 4 of those could start for New Jersey, for Brooklyn at this point in time. So Cleveland's depth advantage works here for them. Brooklyn's defensive shortcomings, really, they're hidden by the fact that they play at the second slowest tempo. But that gets negated here because Cleveland plays at the 8th fastest. So lots of things here that do favor the Cleveland Cavaliers. However, we'll take a final look here and just question their interest in this game. 7.5 games ahead of Boston with only 18 to go. Do they really care to win this game by 19 points? Maybe they do, because they have a shot at their 15th straight victory, which would tie a franchise record. They probably would love to do it in this home game. Like I say, it's a solo home game in front of their home fans, win that 15th straight. And if they do, they go for 16 on the road. But it doesn't mean they have to win by 19. They've played 3 straight unders. They've scored less than 120 in all of those. They have the next couple of days off. Maybe they play hard early and coast the last 12 to 15 minutes. I really think that might be the case here. If they get to a big lead, they coast their way home in this one. There's not a lot of angles to look at this game. I mean, you could take the points, but the Nets in back-to-backs and with their defense, not really a fun take here. Cleveland could blow them out if they decide to. They win by margin. I think the best route to take here is Cleveland coming out of the gate quickly, establishing themselves. They're the highest scoring first half team in the league. Almost average 64 games, 63.8 to be exact. And here they're asked to do exactly that. 63.5 is the first half total. I think they get there. Like I say, their starting unit is great, but their bench in the second quarter should be able to keep things going here. Like I mentioned earlier, they are the number 1 scoring team in first half action this season. So that's going to be the way we look at this free play today on the Cleveland Cavaliers first half team total over 63.5. Before we get to the second game, which, by the way, is going to be Washington at Detroit, I'd like to make everybody aware that it is $5 Tuesday. $5 Tuesday here at wagertalk.com. You can get any handicapper, one play from each of us for $5. I happen to have a 4% best bet in college basketball action up and available for $5 right now. So you can go ahead over to wagertalk.com and get that, or visit my homepage at wt.buzz/RV. But once again, $5 Tuesday, no better way to get acquainted with the handicappers over at wagertalk.com. If you haven't done so thus far, then using $5 Tuesday as your way to get a selection. Very, very cheap price. So once again, $5 Tuesday, go ahead and visit right now, wagertalk.com. Let's get into this Washington-Detroit game, kind of similar to what we just talked about, right? Huge point spread, superior favorite, miserable underdog. Do you take points? Do you just play it over? Is it a roll the balls out special? We'll look into it real quick here. Detroit opened 14.5, 233. Detroit still 14.5, but the number's been bumped total-wise up to 235 for Washington. Starting small forward, Bilal Coulibaly, probably not going to play here. He left last night's game with a calf injury. Doesn't look like he'll go here. Chris Middleton could take his place. He didn't play last game due to rest. I'd imagine Middleton steps in here for Detroit. No notable injuries. Schedule-wise, fatigue-wise, looks like this. Washington is in the second of back-to-back, third and 4 nights. Not good for the Wizards. For Detroit, it's their third and 4 nights, and it's a situation where we just don't like to play home favorites. It's their first home game since returning off a 5-game road trip, and that road trip was a 3-time zone trip all the way out west. Detroit now back home for their first game. I don't think there's any advantage here for either of these teams, fatigue-wise, scheduling-wise, in this game. It's the first of a back-to-back set between these two. Both going to be played here in Detroit. Pistons absolutely rolling right now, 12-3 against the spread last 15 games. How about Washington? Close examination of their schedule shows they haven't played a team with a winning record in their last 8 games, yet they're only 3-5 against the spread in those 8. The divide in Washington's defense in those 8 games from playing fast-paced teams to playing slow-paced teams, pretty evident here. The faster-paced teams that they've played over the course of the last 8, Portland, Utah, and Toronto twice, they scored 129, 122, 117, and 119. No defense apparent for Washington against the quicker-paced teams, but against the very pedestrian teams, defense picked up, only allowed 99, 100, 106, 110. Bad news here because Detroit's a fast-paced team. They get out and go 94-foot up tempo. So I'd imagine Washington's defense gets hurt a little bit in this game. Again, take a final look at this. Generally don't like to play these huge home favorites. First game back off of a road trip. There's no angle here really in this game, side or total, that you can play with any sort of strong conviction. But there is a 90% trend that just sticks out in this game. So if you're a technical guy, you like technical trends, here you go. Washington Wizards, full game totals in back-to-back situations are 9-1 to the under. 90% under trend in Washington back-to-back games so far this season. The Pistons defense has been pretty good. Their recent road swing, it was a tough, strenuous trip, but the defense still held up pretty good. Last 10 games shows they're only allowing 112.9 per game. Take away Coulibaly and Malcolm Brogdon, who, believe it or not, as the roster exists for Washington, those are the top 2 scorers on this Washington team. I would take a shot here with this strong technical support, the 90% trend, and play the Wizards team total under, currently sitting at 110.5. I think it lands that way. We're going to play as your free selection for this game, Washington Wizards full game team total under 110.5. On the way out, I'd like to ask everybody to hit the like button if you like the selections and analysis provided here at Wager Talk TV by all of the Wager Talk handicappers on a daily basis. Go ahead and hit like, hit subscribe, join the 196,000 plus people who already have done so. If you have any comment on this game, any NBA game tonight, go ahead and please drop it in the comment section. We love to hear from all of you out there. For now, this is Rob Vino saying good luck with all your plays. We'll see you next time on Wager Talk TV.